Hi, welcome to Racehouse with me, Jolie.
And me, Darren Reeves.
It is 2024. We are back in the driving seat for Formula One. Another season after such a dominant season last year by Red Bull. What does the future hold for this year? We've got teams galore. We've got new names of teams. We've got new liveries. We've got potential driver changes. We've got new circuits on the horizon. It's a really exciting time to be in Formula One, Darren.
Well, Joe, I've got to say it's been a couple of months now since you and I were in Abu Dhabi seeing that final lap and the fireworks of what was a historic season. Can you remember who won it? I'm not quite sure. Do you
Not quite
quite
sure.
remember?
We're having too much fun on the super yachts. Yeah.
We were. The best thing for me is we're all back to 0 points again, and it's so exciting, that feeling of a new season, of new car liveries, of new car designs, hopefully with and all getting a bit closer to Red Bull. And I'm expecting that with the rule changes not having changed, everybody's going to get closer to Max, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be really exciting, and it's literally happening in, was it 2 weeks time? 3 weeks time, isn't it? 3 weeks time we kick off, and
That's right, yeah.
But do you know, there's one thing for me that I'm disappointed with. It's the first season in Formula One history where there's no rookie driver.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even think of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. We've got the same driver lineup, which shows consistency. I think it also shows where we've got older drivers now with Alonso and Lewis, who's going to be turning 40. These guys are physically fitter, than people. Mind you saying that, Nigel Mansell won the 1992 championship at the age of 40. And, and who knows, Lewis could win this season and, and then
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. But we know Max and Red Bull are starting on the front foot. They've obviously been developing probably sooner than anybody else for this season as well, because they had it all wrapped up so soon. It's but what's been happening really over the December period and the Christmas period? Well, I remember at the time, but mate, the world is moving so fast in Formula One. It's a whirlwind of a circus already, and
Yeah.
we've had some amazing news in the last week, haven't we, Joe?
There's incredible news, really. I mean, it's been like a double whopper, really. Let's talk about the big one that we're interested in. Is Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari in 2025.
Yeah.
Now, I think it shocked a lot of people because he's been Mercedes through and through for so long. Obviously, before he was at McLaren and he did great. He won a world championship.
But that was a Mercedes engine, Joe.
It was a great partnership those guys had. Mercedes, the team, you could say birthed by Michael Schumacher, now has some Mick Schumacher in the stable there as well. Look, for Lewis, he's done amazing at Mercedes. 6 world titles there in 7 years, I think. It was absolutely...
Yes, 6 and 7, yeah.
Yeah, it was right, and it was his dominant era, and it was great, to really be a part of that and for us to see that close up. But I think it's always on the bucket list for a lot of these drivers to say they've driven at Ferrari. When they're kids and they see these cars, they look at this mark, and Ferrari has that sleek, sexy look about it. You see the road cars everywhere. And I think there is something really ingrained in every driver. They want to have a spat at Ferrari. Look at Vettel, look at Alonso. They've all had a little spell there, and it's something they could tick off. I think for Lewis, if you think what other team, if he's getting older and he wants to maybe think about retiring soon, well, where would he go? Well, he wouldn't go to Red Bull, that's for sure. Could he go back to McLaren? It could have been. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. But their lineup now is so strong. And with other cars and other manufacturers, they probably haven't got the pace and, the car that he's used to. Ferrari, though, have shown that. Sainz had a really good season last year. I mean, Singapore, I think he won.
He was the only person to beat Red Bull.
Yeah.
The only driver.
And he's been rewarded with that.
There it is.
He's been rewarded
Yeah,
so well.
yeah.
So
Uh,
yeah, he will lose his seat. So
yeah,
he's Lewis is moving over to Ferrari. Signs, we do not know yet where Signs will go.
yeah.
I can't see it being a straight swap to Mercedes. I think he may go somewhere else, but he's been all over the place, hasn't he?
He
Signs.
has. He started off at Toro Rosso. He then went to Renault, I remember. He then went to McLaren and partnered
Hmm.
Lando. And now, obviously, having had his tenure at Ferrari cut short, really. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think he's
No.
been a good driver for every team he's raced with. He's consistent, he's likable. He will definitely have a drive somewhere where I genuinely don't have a clue. But I do agree with you. I don't see him at Mercedes. I don't see it as a swap. So,
Mm.
but just go for me. Just going back to Lewis, it reminds me of when Nigel Mansell signed for Ferrari. He left Williams, went to Ferrari, and won his very first race in the 91 season. I think it was 91 or no, 1990 season. But it didn't work out. He went back to Williams, and of course, the rest is history. Won the 92 championship. And it just reminds me of that. To have a British driver in Ferrari is really rare,
Mm.
and but Ferrari are the pinnacle of the pinnacle for me
Mm.
of Formula One. And it is it for me. It has put the buzz back into Formula One, which it needed a little bit ever since Abu Dhabi 21. There's been a little bit of spark gone for a lot of British fans, I think, with what went on with Lewis.
Mm.
Lewis now is not a race winner. I was listening to somebody saying, "Oh, they're breaking up that winning formula of Mercedes and Hamilton." It's not a winning formula anymore.
No.
Then Lewis hasn't broken it up. That's already been broken. But he has to roll the dice. And I think this is the best move I think Ferrari have ever made. They've got the best
Yeah.
driver in the most successful and historic team, and if anybody can make it happen, he can. They've not had a world champion since 2007. Who was that, Joe?
Wow. Oh, Kimmy?
Correct. Exactly. And of course they and Mike and then when Michael was there, from 2000 to 2000 four, he won 5 world championships in a row. So for me, even doing that in a row, with Lewis doing 6 in 7, it's unprecedented dominance, from these top people, and we're
And
scared we're going to see the same from Max.
but we saw how good the Ferrari was last year. I mean,
Yeah,
it really has turned around. I mean, I really hope they've done some amazing improvements for Lewis. It's going to be a local team. He lives in Monaco, so Maranello's not far from him now, so he's got a shorter commute to work. When between races.
yeah.
Um, and it is also it's a bigger fit for him for brands, Lewis, because with all the fashion and everything which Lewis brings to that. Now he's a bit Ferrari. I mean, I cannot wait for next season. I want to kind of skip this season and go straight to next season. um
Well, the
but
thing is, Joe, it's going to be every race. We're all going to be talking about Lewis in a Ferrari next year. So it is
yeah.
going to be this season because of the excitement and the build-up. My wife always says to me, "Why do you book holidays last minute? I want to spend 6 months looking forward to it." And I'm like, "But I don't know what I'm doing in 6 months." This is a little bit like that. It's looking forward to the dream holiday, and we're all through this
Yeah.
season. And it's going to be interesting how Mercedes are going to close the knowledge door onto Lewis and Lewis's team as well, because Bono is going to be moving with him as well, isn't he? Pete Bonington,
Is that is
his
that
race
true?
engineer.
Is coming
Yeah,
over?
so I believe. So I believe.
Right. Well,
So
also a big question. Sorry, a big question is, who's
yep,
gonna take the Mercedes seat? George
yes.
Russell is staying there, so you could say he's the kind of the elder driver now of the
Well,
stable. But he's been amazing, George. I mean, like last
mhm,
season was fantastic. You've got Mick Schumacher there in the wings.
yep.
Whether or not that will be the straight insert, it'll probably save the team a few quid as well. Or do they get someone seasoned? There's Carlos Sainz out there. Alonso is out there. I can't see them doing an Aston Martin and bringing in an elder statesman. I can see Sainz at Aston Martin, by the way.
I,
Uh,
I, I can see that as well.
Yeah, mate, that's our
But
prediction for next year.
yeah, but I love Alonso in the Aston Martin. I've got to say, it was just a joy, especially the
Mm,
first half of the season was just wonderful to watch him get those podiums.
yeah.
And I can see the attraction to Mercedes of bringing in a multiple world championship champion in Alonso. But what about Vettel?
Well, this is what people. This is a dream thing, isn't it? People talk about because, like, you got the German connection, which is great, but this is basically what Schumacher did. And
Yeah.
people are saying, well, he's probably getting itchy. He's racing, isn't he? He's in another um,
I've not followed him. I've just all I know is
discipline somewhere.
he's beekeeping in Japan is all we know.
Yeah.
uh,
The problem though is that would he be interested in participating still? He's very eco-friendly now, and it's all the travel, it's the hard work. I mean, he's enjoying the
mm,
family life. I'm not sure where he lives. Maybe Switzerland, I think he lives.
not sure.
um
Not sure.
Maybe. But I don't know. I mean, it's up to him, isn't it? But he knows the
Yeah.
circus, whether or not he wants to come in for a couple of years, whether he's still sharp enough, because these guys are fighter pilots. I mean, you're out of the
Well,
car for a few races, you got to sharpen
yeah.
up.
Well, you know, for Mercedes, since Mercedes came into Formula One in 2010, they've only had Schumacher, Rosberg, Hamilton,
Mm.
and Russell, Germans and Brits. It's a very, very much a German British company. So I think Mick Schumacher is a fit. I think Vettel is a fit. What about Oliver Behrman in Formula Two? He's now become Ferrari reserve driver for this season. So we're going to see him in FP1. He's been doing fantastically in FP2. He's the next Brit to come around. Why don't they roll the dice and take a chance as they did with George?
Well,
Just
the second chance. I mean, George was racing for Williams for a while, and he did actually show some great moments in Williams.
mm,
But I don't know. I mean, we're talking about one of the top, I think, top three, if maybe top two. Um, can't talk. Teams, teams. I was about to
yes,
say car
top.
companies.
I would say top.
The-
I'd say top three. I wouldn't separate Ferrari and Mercedes now. And if I'm on, oh hello, we've got some balloons going on in the background, Joe. Did you see that?
Oh, did you
What's
put your
that?
thumbs up? I think that's that. Is that that? No. Oh yeah, there's this. Yeah,
You've got that. I don't know what I
this is
did. Brilliant. This is
funny.
exciting. Yes, we're learning.
Uh,
We're learning.
is that
Hello
that?
to all the. Oh, that
Hey!
fireworks.
We're just gonna end up having fun with filters.
So
No, okay,
I'm.
I agree. Top three teams, but like,
Yeah.
do they want to take a chance on a rookie? I don't think so. I think they need someone who knows these circuits inside out. They've got your multi-million-pound car there.
Mm,
They need someone with experience who can jump in and go and attack. They haven't got
yeah.
time to train anyone. But Mick Schumacher has been there for what, a whole season, if not more, hanging around.
I
I
feel
would
like
love
it's
to see
longer.
Mick in.
Yeah.
Feels like
Well,
it's longer.
we all love the
Mm.
name. It's got the German connection. I just don't know if he is good enough. Is he trading off the name more than, Rosberg traded off the name, came in and became world champion. He did it. Can Mick Schumacher do the same thing? I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you. When Magnussen came back into Haas, Magnussen was like, "Look, guys," and Magnussen's a midfield driver. He was. I love him. I think he's brilliant, and I think him and Hulk are a great team pairing for Haas. But I'm just not sure. I think if it was me making the decision, if I was going to choose a German driver, I think I would put Vettel in and see, and if he doesn't do it, put
Well,
Mick in after.
interesting. We'll see what happens.
Mm,
And one thing is for sure, no one will be racing for Andretti. It seems that the Andretti bid to be the 11th team in Formula One has been denied. The FIA actually, I think, approved it and said, yeah, we've
yep.
got no problems with that. But F1 have said no chance. And it's strange why, because they had this whole, is it the Concord,
Yep.
um,
Agreement.
and said, we want to get a couple more teams in. It's going to spice it up. Obviously, it brings more money in. It does dilute the winnings, the pot a bit more. But I think with the extra cash that will be generated and the new teams from different places, it would probably out perform that. But I don't know. People have said no, and there's something else going on. So Andretti has been turned down, but Andretti have said they will appeal. Let's see what happens with that. There's great racing history with Mario Andretti as well, and this both of them. I forget what's his name. His first name, younger
Michael.
Andretti. Michael, that's it.
Michael.
So
Yeah.
Mario and Michael do have a racing legacy, and I don't know, it could have been a good fit. Another American team, you know, America is growing for F1. Let's see what happens. Another place that's growing is Spain, and well, quite controversially, perhaps, Madrid has stolen essentially the Spanish Grand Prix from Barcelona.
Mm.
Now, you know, is it a street race they're proposing?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it's a street race round the circuit, quite central as well to the city. I was in Madrid back in September, my first sort of time there, and I went to see the Real Madrid, well, Atletico versus Real, and saw Real be beaten. It was the first time they were beaten. So I've got a little bit of affinity with Madrid. However, I've got an affinity with Barcelona as well. And Joe, you know, you've done the race at the Circuit de Catalunya. I did it in 2022, 21, 20. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I loved it. I think it's a great circuit. But the problem is access. It was a nightmare getting in, and what they're saying is that they want more street races, and Madrid, you know, you're not going to have any access problems getting into a city center. Everything's there. The hotels are already there, you know, in the way that Vegas is as well. It's,
Yeah.
you know, and I can see where they're going with it. But you think it's, you know, I don't know. I don't know whether it's a political thing or whether it's or what it is. But I love the idea of new circuits. I hate the idea of getting rid of classic circuits. And for me, that Spanish circuit is a classic circuit.
It's a classic circuit. I do find it a bit boring as a race. I find the Spanish Grand Prix. I don't know why. I just feel it's not particularly exciting, that circuit. But these circuits have been specially designed, to provide a great drive and to make it as exciting as possible. And that's why you see changes to tracks. You know, Abu
Yeah.
Dhabi changed a section of their track, and Bahrain have done that as well on different circuits.
Yep.
And that, you know, they're purpose made. They've got the paddocks there for the teams, they've got the ingress, the egress, they've got villages for the fans set up. Yeah, it's like a proper do. It's a proper festival
Yeah.
essentially. When you do a street race, everything's spread out everywhere, and it is a bit of a nightmare to get around because you can't drive here, you can't drive there. If you're bringing anything in with a van or a truck, it's
Mm.
a crazy logistical thing to do a street race. The other thing is that, you know, you haven't got all the fans in one spot really. You have some grandstands dotted around, but people were in balconies, and it's great. It looks like Monaco, you know,
Yeah.
every kind of race. You look at Azerbaijan as a good example as it winds through the whole old historic center. But, you know, look at what happened in Vegas. You had a manhole that came up and ruined Ferrari's day.
Yeah.
You know, these things, and they had to spend so much money on the roads. Let's not forget Madrid. You know, Spain isn't a rich country really anymore.
No.
There are strikes nearly every single week for, you know, the nurses, the firefighters, yeah, everybody in government. The public servants are striking every single week, and I was in Madrid, and every single week there was something. I don't know if this is going to go off without a hitch. The amount of money they're going to have to spend to create this and create it every single year, essentially from scratch,
Yeah.
it's going to cost a fortune. So
Yeah.
I don't know how the public are going to react to this, but I think they've got it for how many years? Is it 10 years that they're going to do it for?
I'm not entirely sure. Formula One moves so fast, Joe, and this news of Madrid broke sort of 3 weeks ago now, didn't it? And I looked at the actual circuit of it, and is it 2026? Here we go. Yeah, 2026.
Yeah.
It's going to be 2026, and I'm just nosing now to see if
It's
we've
probably
got
a minimum of 5.
the deal. Here we are. The deal, which runs until 2035, so it's 10 years, means
It's 10
Madrid
years.
will be the host of the country's Grand Prix for the first time since 1981. when there was a Jamara circuit 20 miles outside the capital. So circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia has had that since 1991. But do you know what? On the flip side, though, like you said, it's all purpose built in Barcelona, just like Silverstone.
Mm,
And Silverstone has just signed a 10-year deal as well with Formula One. So the
that's
British
right.
Grand Prix is guaranteed. I think Silverstone is a wonderful, wonderful event. I think the access roads have now been made brilliant on the what is it, the A43 or something in, from Oxford and Milton Keynes. It's really good. The parking is excellent. The only problem with it is it's too far away from London, and a lot
Exactly.
of
Would you
yeah.
change it to London?
Would I? I think the television would like it. But I just love Silverstone. For me, it would have to be two races to lose Silverstone, which most of the drivers say is the best track to drive alongside Spa, or Japan, maybe Suzuka. Would I have it nearer London? Really, it's for the corporate.
Yeah, because you say it's too far away. Well, too far away from who? Because if you live in
of
Birmingham or Northampton or Milton Keynes, and you're happy days.
course.
It's bang in the middle of the country, kind of pretty much.
Yep.
So actually, everyone is within a couple of hours of it. So actually, it's probably well located. But you're right, London is really the thumping heart of it.
Mm.
So much that they do Grand Prix balls and things just before the race in London.
Yes.
Um, I think Silverstone should stay. It's a brilliant circuit. I agree with you. It's such a huge, huge event as well. It is insane. We've been lucky to be in the Paddock Club over there many, many times,
Yeah.
but be able to dip out and see the thing. And I know you go as well with the guys with your
Yep.
kids. And you walk around the whole thing, and we walk the track. We love Silverstone completely, so please don't take Silverstone away, and you can't because you got it for 10 years.
Yes.
So I think that's an amazing thing. These circuits are really highlighted as well on television. To see these things on television now with the cameras and the new things that they're doing, you get a real feel for it, especially with the Netflix hit, which is Drive to Survive. And the new series is out on the 23rd of February. It's going to be a recap of last year. So I don't know how many episodes there is, 6 to 8 episodes perhaps.
It's normally
And
8, I think. Yeah.
yeah, and it will go through the whole season. Basically, spoiler alert, Red Bull will win the whole thing. I don't know what they're going to talk about. It's going to be the last chance to see Gunter.
Yes.
That was news. Remember, that was
Well,
big news.
why we haven't even mentioned it, Joe? So Gunter for me is the star of Drive to Survive. I think
Yeah.
he's been such brilliant entertainment. He's had a book out as well. I think was it Survive to Drive, and my wife has done it in the car as an audiobook. I've not even listened or read it. She said it's absolutely brilliant, but time really. I'm too busy learning songs again at the moment. But yeah, Gunter, what's Gunter going to do? I think we're going to see him on television pretty much from the first FP1 of Bahrain.
Oh, you think he's going to be a pundit now?
That's my instinct. I do also think that he might have been in with Andretti. There could be
Yeah.
something there because he lives in America. And going back to Andretti, just to say I'm gutted about it because I think Formula One are wrong. I think it's greed, and I think that maybe FIA could increase the prize money by 1/10 so that it actually makes it happen because FIA want it. We need 12 teams in Formula One with the best 24 drivers. That's the Concord Agreement. Make it happen, FIA. It's just money, Joe. And there's so much money flying around. If it's not with the teams, it's with the oil companies, and just do it. Make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting with Gunter. I mean, look, we skipped over the fact he's now been he's fired as team principal for Haas, and now former engineer, head of engineer was Ayo Komatsu, who I assume is a Japanese fellow.
Yes.
He's taken over as the principal. But Gunter, yeah, interesting, maybe interested because Gunter, many people don't know this, he's Italian, but he's also American. So I think that could have been a good play. He could have gone over to Andretti anyway, and maybe Haas wasn't interested. I don't know. It's all speculation, but
do you know what? If Gunter's looking for something to do, I'd love to interview him on here, Joe. So if anybody's got an in with Gunter, let's get him on. He's bored at the moment, nothing to do. Yeah.
Well, talking of that,
Good chat to you.
I bumped into Zach Brown of McLaren,
Yes.
and he's been doing a sterling job, and I had a little chat with him, which was fantastic, and
Mhm.
congratulated him on an amazing recovery last season. But he was very gracious to spend a bit of time with us, and we did swap details. So watch this space. Maybe we can entice Zach on here as well.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So once we get Zach, then I'm sure we'll get Gunter.
Well, exactly, exactly. And Joe, hopefully we're going to be at some races this season as well. I know I'm away on tour till the end of April, but I also know that I'm going to be down at the historic Formula One event in Monaco, which
Mm.
happens 2 weeks before the race. So, we might be able to do some stuff from various places, and and then I'm going to be at the go-karting circuits as well this season. So Lucas is racing in Super One, which is the national championships, and being televised. So if we can be at some karting circuits, race circuits, and any others, Joe, I was in Singapore and they'd built a little karting circuit in Marina Bay
Oh
I was
wow.
there for New Year, and I had a little walk up and down the pit lane and did all my little Formula One things and bored my wife to tears. But yeah, we found they were running cosmic carts in Marina Bay. So yeah, it's hopefully we can not just do it from from my music studio here and my bedroom in Dubai, Joe. That's
Exactly. Wherever I may be, wherever I may be.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, we'll have to put some of that Singapore footage. I did see some. It's very good, actually. It's very cool. It's very fan, very geeking out and the fandom. But
I was.
yeah, but it's
Yeah.
great. We'll have to actually go to it as well. I do have some connections in Singapore. Maybe we will have to try and get over there.
Well, it'd be great, wouldn't it? Be absolutely great. But Joe, wherever I go where there's been Formula One, whether it's there now or it's been, but the last time I was in Singapore was pre 2008, pre Nelson Piquet and Flavio Briatore's
Yeah,
sort of disaster, really. But
Crashgate.
yeah, Crashgate. That's the word I was trying to think of. But it's always a joy to sort of have those memories of standing at the bottom of the final corner of the bottom of the big wheel, imagining those cars going round is just a joy. So I
It's a
recommend it to
joy.
anybody. Go to
Yeah,
any Formula One circuit and walk around.
go and have a walk around at the circuit. Go and find a race near you. Also, I should say Formula One is quite an expensive sport to kind of follow if you want to go and travel to all these places. You look at America and Vegas and Singapore, but if you're in Europe, go to Hungary. Hungary is one of the cheapest tickets on the calendar. It's beautiful. It's always in the summer. It's roasting hot every time I've been there, apart from one year when it rained. Were you there for that one? I can't remember.
No, I've not done Hungary,
Okay,
Joe.
I
I've
was there
not
for that
done
one.
it. All I know is you were FaceTiming me whilst they had that red flag, and
Oh
Lewis
yeah,
was the only one who started on the grid after the red flag. Everybody came in to change
that was
tyres.
it. That
One
was
of the
it.
funniest moments in Formula
Very
One for
strange.
me.
They messed
Yeah.
that up, didn't they? But yeah, Hungary is fantastic, and it's pretty cheap. I think it's only like $250 for the weekend, pounds, and that gets you around everywhere. You can walk all the way around pretty much the track,
Mhm.
and maybe on the track after. Now, important little bit of news: you can't walk on the track in many places now. They're stopping it. They're starting to stop the whole walking on. I think it was Australia. They said they're not going to allow people to walk on the track anymore.
Wow. I'm
Yeah,
really surprised at that. It's
it's
when I was in Australia, Joe, like I've done Melbourne 4 times, and I can remember it was all back in the early 2000s, so 2001, and Jacques Villeneuve had a really bad crash at turn 3 at the same corner where Alonso went spinning in the McLaren, and Martin Brundle in the very first one went loop the loop in his Jordan. But walking the track is such a special experience for every fan. And once you've walked around a corner or a track, you'll then watch it on television completely different because you sense what it's like to be on the track on that corner. And so, like I did in Singapore, I recommend everybody, if you can't afford to go to a race, go to a track when in close season, find out if you can get to it, look around it, because it just changes that television experience, doesn't it? So
It,
if I haven't
mm,
heard that news, mate, but that's gutting because that's something I love to do.
that's amazing.
During a race weekend, ideally after after a race.
There's not many now where you can do it, but if you do get an opportunity to do it, see the podium if you can. It gets very
Yep.
busy there, but then start a walk as soon as you can, and crack on. It's about 5K is the average length of a track.
Mm.
Get it done, because by the time you get to the end, you start to be shepherded off. So if you want to do a full lap of it, then yeah, crack on and get the walk on. But there's also the bike ban as well, which I think is so sad. So the drivers can't cycle around on the
Why?
Thursday.
Why?
I know, no idea why. They said, yeah, they're not allowed to cycle around. They're not allowed to use e-scooters. Um, I have
Oh,
no
come
idea.
on.
Maybe they're scared of something falling off the bike and being on the track, but they clean the track with the dust carts and stuff. I don't know why. It's very sad. All these, and also the teams aren't allowed to climb on the fence when their drivers won. They're not allowed to climb on the fence and cheer them at the end. They're not allowed to do that anymore.
Who's doing all this?
It's probably the FIA, I guess.
It's got to be, but they're spoiling all the
Sad.
fun.
Spoiling all the
Well,
fun. I mean, I understand safety, and there was a point, I can't remember which one it was, later in the season last year, when someone came into the pits and there was a whole group of photographers there, still standing in the
yes.
pit lane, which was so
Yeah.
dangerous, and the race hadn't finished yet. That was a mess up. I get it, but that's so different to letting people walk around the track at the end, or letting the drivers. On Thursday, a lot of drivers run the track, and in the
Yeah, they
evenings
do.
after the thing, that's their exercise. They do a 5K run all the way around the track, and that's their exercise done for the day or the weekend. It's very sad. So F1, keep the fun, keep the fun. We want to get closer to the action. We want to feel the track. I think we kissed the track as well, didn't we, at Silverstone?
Ah,
Uh,
Joe, I know we're running live, but I've done a video of me kissing the track on the Anderson Bridge in Singapore, and I must send it in to Greg James. He has a podcast, doesn't he now? And the Radio One DJ, and they have a whole thing about kissing the track. So yes, remind me. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, so that's our new thing. We'll kiss the track every time we go to one. I'm quite happy with that. That's fine. I'll take some lip salve or something. Hey, that's been an amazing roundup. The first race is coming up. It's Bahrain, the Bahrain Grand Prix. As a tradition, you've got the preseason testing there as well. We'll be able to see the cars, and let's see how they perform. Hopefully not too much of this going on. We're also going to see all the crazy liveries. A lot of black has been working its way back into a lot of the liveries. We've got a bright green, neon green one. Let's see how that looks. It looks quite Tron, looks quite cool. And we've got some weird names as well. We've got the AlphaTauri, we've now the Visa Cash App RB, Red Bull, I guess. So I guess that's the Visa team, Visa Cash team. Oh, sounds atrocious.
I just can't work it out.
Alpha of now the Stake F1 team Kick Sauber.
What does that
Like,
mean? It's Sauber, boys. It's Sauber. Stop.
Yeah,
I want them
that's
to
what
get
happens.
sponsorship.
Yeah, sponsorship's great, but this is what happens when you make your team name by committee. Stake F1 team Kick Sauber. I think we'll call it Sauber. They may call it Stake. Sauber's got the history, so I think we're going to call it Sauber, huh?
Well, there's. Do you know what? There's been this in Formula One loads. It was Marlboro McLaren. It's been there forever. It was Benson and Hedges Jordan. There's all this, obviously smoking and alcohol sponsorship is not there. Well, we have Heineken, don't we, all over Formula One, so forget the alcohol thing. But it's always been there, but it's Sauber. Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, RB, it's Red Bull. It's Red Bull's number 2 team.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
But
these title sponsors bring money in. So.
The RB, we'll call it RB, I guess, or Visa Cash. The livery looks very, very much like the old Toro Rosso with that blue and the white and the red and everything. And I think that's also good because it's going to stand out with the American fans. It's basically red, white, and blue. So maybe that's their trick. That's kind of their American kind of car. And then Red Bull, we've yet to see it. Next week, we've got more of the big teams unveiling their cars and their liveries for the season. So we're excited to see that. We'll have a look at Bahrain, and we'll give our review after the race. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. If you've got a link into Gunter Steiner, let us know too. We'll be happy to do that. But Racehouse is back and with a bang, and we can't wait to get stuck into this F1 season. So for Racehouse today, that's goodbye from me, Joe Lee.
And it's goodbye from me, Darren Reeves. Take care.
Take care.